This is my audience. And this is my outline. We do not care anything for the heaviest of storms in these big ships. It is fog we fear. The big icebergs that drift into warmer water melt much more rapidly under the water than on the surface, and sometimes a sharp, low reef extending 200 or 300 feet below the surface is formed. If a vessel should run into one of these reefs, half of her bottom would be torn away, stated Captain Smith, the commander of the Titanic. Margaret Brown, also known as Molly Brown, was a socialite woman who survived the sinking of the Titanic. That was a notable incident that only 32% of people survived on, including Brown. All of my information I found was credible from the following sources. Meet Margaret Molly Brown by the Molly Brown Museum, The Titanic Project by Carl Maticlo, and Molly Brown Titanic Facts by Biography.com editors. Today I will be speaking on the topics of Margaret living a normal life before the Titanic incident, how the Titanic experience for her was not as traumatic as much of you might think, and finally her many accomplishments after her tragic experience. Molly Brown came from a humble upbringing in Hannibal, Missouri. There she was born to Irish parents of John and Joanna Tobin in 1867. Her family was progressive and immigrated through the industrialization of America. Eventually they moved to Leadville, Colorado, where there she met J.J. Brown and they got married in 1886. They became millionaires after he discovered the discovery of gold in a mine. Their money enabled them to move, where they purchased their forever home in Denver in 1896 and joined the Reformers. From the Meet Molly Brown article from the Molly Brown Museum, J.J. and Margaret signed a separation years later, and she was given money after the separation to continue her travels. She continued to travel to Rome, Egypt, and Paris with her daughters and friends. In 1912, her grandson got sick that called her home. The only ship at the time that would bring her there was the Titanic. It was such an innovative ship for during the time that cost $10 billion to build. Builders say the ship was practically unsinkable. While she was reading on her bed, she felt a bump and fell off her bed. That is when she heard someone yelling in the hallway to get on to their lifeboats. She boarded Lifeboat 6 with 22 women and 1 man. 12 hours later, the care of Athena found them and they were rescued. Once they got to land, she announced the typical Brown luck, "I'm unsinkable." After the Titanic, she was known for helping people. The literal miners had begun on strike, and women reached out for her help. Then she moved to New York, in a wealthy town for especially women, where she joined the National Women's Trade Union League and started the New Women. She passed away in her sleep in 1932 and led a very memorable life. All the points in her life, from her experience before the Titanic to what it was like on it, and what she pursued after the incident, were all very memorable. To wrap it up, a quote from Brown, written by the Titanic Project by Carl Maticlo, said, "I'm a daughter of adventure. This means I never experience a dull moment and must be prepared for any eventuality." Thank you.